What is happening, guys? Steve Mayeda here. We're in Austin, Texas, and I believe it's the 9th of June, 2019. We're actually on our membership call, which is super cool. We're in the middle of our Be Social Challenge, and I want to talk about sexual market value and some of the things people get wrong, but also when we take a theory and we don't understand it and it looks good and it makes sense 99% of the way or whatever it is, and I think that this theory doesn't even make it that far, we can really cause a lot of damage. And it's repeat damage that we've seen a lot. There's proof of it, and I think guys who are involved with certain things like the manosphere, you know, as you guys may or may not know, I've dove pretty deep into the red pill in the last month and a half, and there's a lot of problems that I'm running into that we've solved in men's development, and the answer is much different. So let's dive into this and figure it all out.
Hey guys, my name is Steve Mayeda and I'm a men's coach in Austin, Texas. I'm a BJJ practitioner, a Wim Hof enthusiast. I have an amazing family, 4 awesome boys and a beautiful wife. And what this podcast is about being the better man. What we talk about is tried and true because we've been doing it with groups of men just like you for over 12 years. Listen up, and I hope you enjoy.
All right, we good? I think we good? We're good. All right, so with the red pill, we see something called sexual market value, and we saw this in pickup. And I've been a men's coach since 2006, and in that, a lot of that, the vast majority of that has been dating and pickup advice. And although my advice was very different, how sex works and how people decide to have sex isn't based on your societal status. Now, let's rewind back with this a little bit. I have a bunch of videos that I've done on this, but the decision, what makes a woman want to have sex with you, is not how you dress, is not your social status, is not how much money you have, it's not how big your muscles are, it's not how much people respect you. That's what gets you attention. Now, the more attention you have by default, you might get more sexual partners just not knowing what to do, and in that sense, it does work. But what is so interesting about this is one of my martial arts buddies commented on one of Elliot Hulse's posts, and Elliot Hulse has given a lot of advice on this, and to be honest, it's not his expertise. He's a great guy in so many different things, but in this, that's not what he's good at, and I think we should talk about it for that very reason. As he was saying, in terms of upping your sexual market value, you know, you should work out, you should get in shape, make your life better, all this stuff, that's the 99% or the 90% or the 80% of great advice. Make your life better. Hands down, make your life better. Absolutely. If you want to be successful, find that success. Yes, do that. If you want to gain muscle, gain muscle. It's going to help you. It's going to get you more attention. It's going to make people look at you differently. But if you do any of these things so that you up your sexual market value thinking that it will work, one thing that has been proven in pickup and seduction, in the dating industry, now in the red pill industry, or whatever you want to call it, community, is that will make you more angry and frustrated with yourself, the world, and people. And it will give you more of an excuse to hate all these different things. And I mean, I don't know if you guys follow me, but like, I work with drug addicts, I work with people who have a lot of serious problems where there are suicides, there's addiction issues, there's a lot of huge things. I just had somebody I know pass away, which I was very, very angry about, and he got into all of this stuff. He had proof of why the world did not work out for him, and I really worked with him, man. I comped him on my groups, he didn't want to be there. It's disheartening. You know, jumping at politically why women have too much power, jumping at why his marriage didn't work out, why his relationship with his son didn't work out, so much to the point where when I met him, he did not have a drug problem, but 5 months later, he's dead from a drug problem. How does knowing the why, all the gossip and blame, move into the solution of that? It doesn't, because whenever we're moving into the solution to better our lives, we need to do it for ourselves. What's the biggest way to do that? Is if I get in shape, which is what my martial arts buddy was saying. He's like, man, there's nothing wrong with giving advice on being a better person or going to the gym or getting muscles. And I get it. Most of the people taking that advice who live a normal life, who may not have emotional problems, who don't have a lot of pain coming from a divorce, who don't have a lot of pain coming from a custody battle or any of these different things that things like the manosphere and the red pill are so populated by, they don't have that sort of problem. So when you better your life, they get the natural benefits of it. They get the natural benefits of going to the gym, getting muscle, looking better, moving into the confidence that they already had within themselves, reaffirming it. But if you don't have that and you are doing it to get women, you end up more frustrated. If you believe that that is how sexual market value works, you become part of this subculture of blame, hate, and anger. And we see it on both sides. We see it with both men and women. With men, we see communities within the manosphere of very frustrated guys, rightfully so, and they're right. They're right. Like, they got screwed. I got screwed. Anybody watching this who's a man who lives in the Western world, you've got screwed in some way for being who you are. But the lesson in that, and the lesson for me, and I got screwed at a big level, was that I needed to fix stuff in my life. If I wanted to get my family back in order, I had to get my family back in order. It wasn't that I needed to figure out why politics sucked or liberalism is a cancer or feminism is, or whatever it is, right? I needed to find out what was better for me. And when we run into this trap of men's development, of personal development, of just self-help in general, we see this over and over again. This is the problem. We could see it. You know, we could see it that you're not having sex. You're a sexually frustrated man. You're not successful in your life because you need to do this. Better yourself, read some books, get into meditation, get into yoga. But if we do any of those things only to get that result, we're still serving an insecurity. We're still serving something which will make our life miserable even if we get that result. And we are not fixing the problem, which has to do with your confidence, your view on the world, your view on yourself. Here's the reality of it when it comes to sexual market value, and I talk about this all the time, is the reality of it is you could be poor and you could get laid a lot. You could meet the woman of your dreams. You could have the best sex of your life. You could be fat. When I was 40 pounds heavier, I got laid way more in terms of numbers, maybe not the best sex, but that had more to do with me than I did when I got in shape. And when I was even in better shape than I am now, when I was about 15 pounds lighter, 20 pounds lighter, and really, really cut up muscularly, I got more attention from people. But that had nothing to do with people's decisions and ways that they connected with me and had sex with me, right? Sexual escalation is a very different thing. Social interaction and empathy is a very different thing, meaning that I could be all of these different things. I could have no money, which I've never had a ton of it. I could be out of shape. I could be not liked by the world. I could be demonized. And we were talking about this on the call earlier. I could have things where there were, bad press about me, articles written about me. I could have my family split apart. I could have a lot of bad things that were public and people knew about. But if I got in front of somebody, I could connect. So that was independent of my social status or whatever, all these different things. If I was alone with somebody, we both semi-liked each other, I could get sexual with them and have good sex. And ultimately for me, and what is so true, not just for me, like you might say, oh, well, that's just you, Steve, but for my clients that have worked with me, is what got them happiness, sex, the best sex of their lives, the urge that was behind it all. Man, give me a good life, give me a good life. What got that was working on themselves, getting social and getting into the function of what we were, meaning we're empathetic creatures, we're meant to connect with people, we're also sexual creatures, but we're meant to have sex, not just as a bodily release, but as something that connects us further. And socializing and sex are two very, very different things. And us building a relationship with ourselves. This is about you. This isn't about serving your scarcity, your pain, your insecurities. This isn't about the war against people who are fighting you. This isn't about how you've been wronged. And one thing that I'll say just before I wrap this up is that if you are at war and you have time to talk online, it's not a real war. When we talk about the fight that is missing from so many men, so we build wars and battles in all these different areas where we're not really harmed, man, you need to know what it's like to live your life on life's terms and get hurt and have something to fight for and have something worth living for. And when you lose it, it's enormously painful. And when you do that, you tap into something where you respect the fight. See, for me, I've always liked fighting. Actually, there's a guy on the call, he's great. He's into like a lot of stuff that I used to be into, tactical martial arts stuff, and he's done it at a way level beyond me. But I did it for 3 years and I just had to stop because of age and all these different things. I got too many concussions. I love that. But in doing that, I never want to fight it. I don't want to fight anybody. And you know what? I'd probably do pretty well. I never want to fight anybody just because I know what it's like to get hurt. I know what it's like to hurt somebody else. And that's a big deal. And if there's a problem in my life that needs that, there's probably some changing in my life. And if there's somebody going to war against me, then it's consuming all my time. I say this because, guys, getting in touch with yourself, I know it's easy to get distracted with all this chatter. Getting in touch with yourselves and talking to another person is a lot easier than you think. Building social connections and building sexual connections is a lot easier than you think. I know that there's a lot of where you can see it, the truth of, you know, buff guys getting women and all these different things. But man, let me just tell you, the best seducers, the people that I know have had the most sex in their life, the best sex in their lives, and then ultimately moving into the best relationships of their lives, were always people that did it, either continue to do it this way, or started out doing this way and then learned how to have status, was when they had nothing, when they had no money, not a lot of status, not a lot of adoration from people. And then they learned how to have and get things that they had, or learn to have things that they got, I believe it is, that they learned how to do that and learn that lesson. And that is where we find our masculinity, and that's where we find happiness. Otherwise, it's too easy to find reasons to be pissed off and frustrated. Pickup proved this. It's so sad. It caused PUA hate, and what's so weird is now it's rebranded as Red Pill or MGTOW or all these different things which have their own philosophies, and people just don't learn it. In any case, guys, check out Austin Men's Development, where you can find like-minded people like this. Right now, we're on a Be Social Challenge, which I would really have you look into. I'll put a link down below. I'm gonna leave that evergreen, so that means always we'll have that Be Social Challenge where we can tap into it. It's crazy affordable, and you get a lot. But what we do is we work as a community, and we work as men who actually care about each other's lives, and we learn in that particular challenge how to get social and connect with people for the function and purpose of empathy, independent of what you got. So you could be fat, you could be broke, you could be all these different things, and still make great connections with people and find a great social and sexual dating life. That's what we're all about. Learn that message. I know it's not as appealing, it's not as fun, it's not as angry, it's not as kitsch and all this stuff, but it's what works. And maybe you should look at that stuff from now on. Later.